We have just over a week left in Kingdom of Blades KVK, and I would like to address some of the feedback on video about things I like in this KVK and some things that need addressing. So let's begin with the map layout in itself. So the map layout is interesting. It's a bit unusual compared to the other KVK formats because in the starting zone you get 4 bastions, which is standard, but you don't get ruins in the zone. Ruins have a specific zone for themselves, which open up later as the Chronicle passes on. And it's basically a mini Altar of Darkness where you can only bring one march and you're battling for 2000 honor and some minutes for the achievements. This can be quite annoying even if you're winning because people can just bring a couple of marches. If you arrive too early, your marches will probably get sniped off and nothing really can do about that. You just have to wait for more numbers and some people online to protect you. Otherwise, you can't just set and forget like in usual KVKs. So it's a bit of a pro and con in itself. But the cool thing is if you can get some type of feedback about your opponent, how strong they are in these initial fights. You can only bring one march, so you can see how much their tech is at, how coordinated are they. No, it's a small test on a small scale, but I think it could use some more dressing. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Obviously, the obvious thing is to just put the ruins back in the safe zone, or maybe something like add. You're able to use 5 marches in this particular area to make it a bit different compared to the Altar of Darkness, because this is basically Altar of Darkness for a significantly worse reward, and it happens every how many hours? I think every other day. So in the long run, it's simply not worth it. And I know a lot of people missed ruins, myself included. So you're missing out on honor and some minutes for the achievements. So there's something that can be done there. You might have a better idea in the comments. Let me know down below. But let's be gone to the second issue, and it's the Bastions. So we get 4 in the starting zone. I think this is pretty standard. But the next zones, we're gonna get 1 in the next zone. So I have a lot of people in Alliance saying that they maxed all of their Bastions. So they're missing out on the daily crystals for tech, for coins, for whatever, for the crystal quest. And I think the easy solution is just to have more Bastions in this zone. I think it's just having this such a big zone and only have 1 Bastion. Like you need to have at least 2, maybe even 3, just to make it more even. So you don't have this type of issue because everyone is suffering from it, spender and low spender and free to play alike. So I think this is an easy change that can be addressed. And speaking of crystals, the thumbnail of this video, but I think this is not anything new, is the Chronicle for karuak, especially the 3rd level, which is the hard difficulty, which brings you the most crystals. If I recall, it's around 3.4 million crystals. So for someone like free to play like me, that's a significant amount. I can do a couple of researchers with that alone. And this one in particular opens up after King's Den is over. So literally no value for fighting wise. I can understand the last 2 levels because these last 2 levels are all about season coins more than the actual crystals. But this one is really needed to do in relevant fighting times because it has the most crystals and it has the most use before the fighting is over. I think it kind of makes sense. And I hope this will get pushed back when the rework comes around for the Crystal Technology Order and the Karuak Order, because they are removing some of these Karuak levels, and hopefully there will be rework within the Chronicles as well, because this is not the first KVK where this happens. This is pretty standard in these new KVK formats to push some of these Karuaks after the fighting is over. And in my last KVK, we basically had them all in consecutive order. So it was kind of nice to get all the passive crystal so faster. But the point still stands. This needs to go back further so we can have more use from it. Everyone. So those are the things I think are logical to make improvements on. But here are some things I like about the KVK. So obviously, the coalition technology is quite nice because it's not subjective. It's not just one person benefiting it. It's a whole coalition. And you're going to get a lot of extra stats. A lot of extra stats Philippe might not have, such as more attack, more defense, more march speed. 20% extra march speed is huge. And I really appreciate having this activity in this coalition to have this maxed for quite some time, actually. And we're going to have our way towards the final skill. And what you can also get is attack, defense, but you also get more burning speed. I'm going to talk about burning speed because this is actually a fast-paced KVK, and really no fourth wall is safe, and that's a good thing. But also how you can get these tokens is very universal. You can defeat enemy camp units for tokens, you can defeat barbarians, you can gather resources, and you can get by completing bastions. There's so many ways to get these coins, and it's just a matter of how many active players you have in your coalition to make the most progress as possible. So you can see right here, it's looking pretty good. Also, you have more strategic uses of your choices with elite unit enhancements. I made a dedicated video about this. You can check in the end screen at the end of this video. But obviously it allows some strategic depth and thinking. And like I said, no fourth wall is safe in this KVK because of these skills, which allows you to really reduce burning time for a fort all the way down to 30% of its health, which is huge if your enemy is blocking you from a specific area, which happened in this KVK, but we managed to burn it down effectively, much faster than we usually done. And I think even if we saw that fourth wall and we didn't have these skills, I doubt we will even go there. Like we would just give it up because it would take too long to burn it out, and they can always just fortify it as the burning goes on. So overall, this KVK has a lot of potential. I wouldn't say it is the most free-to-play friendly. I still believe Orleans is still the most free-to-play friendly with all the auxiliary skills you can have, which really doesn't really require you to have really good crystal technology. I think Kino Blades has potential, and with some changes, I think this could be a very competitive KVK because it allows you for more fast-paced combat, allows fighting in multiple zones, and even has you competing for basic things like the ancient ruins. So if you're interested in seeing what are the best skills for this KVK in terms of troops, then you can check out the video up top, and I'll catch you in the next one.